plays a very important role in empowering both continents. Thirdly, we talked about expanding legal and inclusive migration pathways. I'm very happy to hear that we had conversations on migration today. The youth and CSOs talked about, we recommend that our governments, both African and European governments, develop and broaden safe, legal and inclusive migration pathways. This includes enhancing mobility for students, for professionals and young innovators, and recognize the mutual benefits of circular migration. We believe that doing so will reduce irregular migration, enhance cooperation, and support the development contributions of the diaspora communities in both Africa and Europe. So I'm going to stop here, and I'll hand over the mic to my colleague Sasha, who's going to share more policy recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sabina, my co-rapporteur from yesterday's Civil Society and Youth Forum, where we had 85 participants from the African and European region. And you have received our joint declaration via email. We hope you have read it. And I also have a few points from the declaration to highlight. My name is Sasha Gabizon. I'm from Women Engaged for a Common Future, and I'm here as the EU Civil Society Youth Rapporteur. And one point where there was a lot of concern from all the participants is, of course, on peace and security, that we see horrendous conflicts in our regions and between our region and the in-between region, of course, in Ukraine, in Gaza, but also Sudan, also DRC, etc. And we call on you all to do everything in your power to end the fighting and to ensure humanitarian aid and to protect civilians and to protect human rights activists, journalists, and civil society. And we call on you to implement and invest in national action plans for peace and security in line with your commitments to the UN's Security Council Resolution 1325 to include youth and women in all levels of peace processes and decision-making. And some of these conflicts can also result from climate change and destruction of livelihoods from environmental degradation and pollution. And therefore, we see as one of the solutions to also invest in community-based ecosystem restoration. But this loss of livelihoods has also been pushing many people into irregular migration. Sabina already mentioned the need for legal pathways and inclusive pathways, but we also need to address human trafficking and online exploitation. So we call on you to hold social media platforms accountable through stronger digital regulation. And my last point is on prosperity, which is one of the other points of your agenda, where we feel we really still need to invest more in green and circular development and in just energy transition specifically, focusing on decentralized renewable energy for off-grid areas specifically, and specifically also for young entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, SMEs, cooperatives, community-owned businesses, for example, for mini-grids and for solar in agriculture. And to close, in these difficult times, we call on you to keep supporting your civil society and youth organizations, and the EU specifically also with grant funding. And we also discussed yesterday the value of working with philanthropy, who can not only contribute with grants, but also with equity and assets through their endowment programs. And this can support impact investments, specifically also for youth and women entrepreneurs. But of course, we would like these to be in line with the ESG principles of environment, social and governance, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically 8 and 5, because let's not forget, decent work and gender equality make this world a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Executive Director Sasha Gabizon. Now we go to concluding remarks by Deputy Chairperson, Commissioner Haddadi.
Esteemed co-chairs, honorable ministers and commissioners from the African Union and the European Union, distinguished delegates. As we bring this ministerial meeting to a close, it is clear that the spirit of constructive dialogue and mutual understanding has prevailed. Our discussions have reaffirmed our common desire to consolidate our intercontinental partnership and find mutually beneficial solutions to allow us to navigate the future. It is clear that we collectively agree that the prosperity and stability of our continents are inextricably linked. Our shared ambition to build a future rooted in sustainable development, peace, and enhanced cooperation continues to guide our efforts. We reaffirm today our commitment to strengthening multilateralism and international cooperation, as well as preserving the integrity of international law as the foundation for a just and fair global order. In this respect, it will be important to sustain our collective effort to increase inclusivity and effectiveness of the multilateral institutions with the UN at its core. In the pursuit of peace and security, we have underscored the necessity of our continued cooperation. In this respect, the Ministers' recognitions for the need for adequate, predictable and sustainable international support for the hybrid implementation of the UN Security Council Resolution 2719 pertaining to the framework for financing the African Union Peace Support Operation by the United Nations is a positive development. By pooling our efforts, we can more effectively address the root causes of instability and support peace-building initiatives, which are fundamental to lasting stability. The imperative of fostering shared and sustainable prosperity has been a central theme of our discussions. We are committed to strengthening economic ties, promoting integrated and resilient markets, and encouraging investments that drive inclusive growth and create opportunities across both of our continents. Furthermore, we have acknowledged the critical need to address pressing global challenges through coordinated action. Whether confronting the impact of climate change, ensuring global health security, advancing food security, or managing migratory flows comprehensively and humanly, our partnership provides a vital platform for developing effective and sustainable solutions. Underpinning all our efforts is the fundamental belief in investing in our people, particularly our youth. By enhancing educational opportunities, fostering skills development, and promoting cultural exchange, we empower the next generation to contribute meaningfully to our societies and to the strength of our intercontinental ties. For the African Union, and based on our communiqué, the progress in the implementation of the commitments laid down in the joint vision for 2030 is welcomed. Whilst we took note of the preliminary monitoring report, it is important to work towards refining it in the spirit of concluding a jointly owned report that reflects the depth and the breadth of our partnership ahead of our joint summit later this year. In this respect, establishing a follow-up task force can further facilitate such a process. As we conclude, let us carry forward the renewed sense of purpose and shared commitment generated during this meeting. The strength of our partnership lies in our ability to work together, to understand each other's perspective, and to forge common paths forward. We look forward to continuing this vital dialogue and to translating our commitments into tangible actions that will shape a more prosperous and secure future for Africa and Europe. Thank you for your invaluable contributions and your dedication to this enduring partnership. I wish all safe travels, and I look forward to seeing you all at the African Union-European Union Summit in Africa later this year. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Madam Haddadi. And now the floor goes to Foreign Minister of Angola and Chairperson of African Union Executive Council. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, ministers, heads of delegations, delegations of the African Union and the European Union, Excellencies, Vice President of the African Commission and representatives of the European Union, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Let me express my deep thanks to the delegations who have taken the floor on behalf of the partnership between the EU and the African Union. I think what we've heard reaffirms that our partnership is one of joint hope for a future based on dignity, prosperity, and mutual respect. These last few days, we have taken stock of the good results of the 6th summit of the European Union, African Union that took place in 2022 in Belgium, as well as the 2nd African Union, European Union Ministerial Summit in Kigali, Rwanda in 2020. Now, we've looked at questions of climate change, peace, security, the digital transition, healthcare, the economic transition, migration. It is essential that we now move all of these dynamics into real results that have an impact on our citizens. And I just want to mention a few things, points where I think our partnership really needs to focus. First, local production, empowerment of young people and women, focusing on companies in the energy sector, strengthening technology transfer. These all need to continue to be priorities in our dialogue. Credit ratings of African companies is also an issue that needs careful and immediate attention if we're going to continue to develop in Africa. I would also like to highlight our commitment to peace and security in Africa and in Europe, the impact of which can, of course, have an impact on those living in both regions. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to continue to further our cooperation in this field, and this means that we also need to strengthen infrastructure for development and peace. We must strengthen, in particular, the African infrastructure for peace and security and the European mechanisms to support that peace so that we do achieve lasting peace on both continents. Reform of the Security Council at the UN is essential, so that it becomes more representative, inclusive, transparent, efficient, and effective, as well as more democratically responsive. That will help us overturn the historic injustice that Africa has suffered from, and that it continues to be a priority for us, and should be a priority on both sides. Having some sort of surveillance mechanism and assessment mechanism is also essential to look at the effective implementation of programs that benefit African programs this is something that has come up again and again in our discussions during today's ministerial meeting. We need to now again look at the monitoring report to ensure that it is taken into account and that it's taken up at the 7th African Union European Union Summit, which will take place later this year. We must ensure that support mechanisms are effective, that they actually monitor progress made, and that they help us overcome any challenges to ensure that this partnership achieves concrete results. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I would simply recall that we are working on behalf of citizens. We have a duty to fulfill the commitments that we've made here in Brussels, as well as those in the joint communiqué that we'll be adopting. Africa is determined to have a prosperous partnership that benefits both continents. The African Union is committed to ensuring its cooperation with the European Union, and that takes place in an efficient way that, again, benefits both continents. Thank you very much. And as we're celebrating 25th anniversary of our partnership, I would just say, let's move forward together with courage to build a future based on prosperity for both of our continents that benefits everyone. And I would also say, have a good trip home to everyone. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Molto obrigado, Minister Tete Antonio. And now a few words from my side. First of all, I'm honored to participate in the closing of this European Union-African Union ministerial meeting as the first ever European Commissioner for the Mediterranean. The creation of this new portfolio demonstrates the importance of the partners on the southern shores of the European Union. Since the Ministerial in February 2022, the world has transformed immensely. We are facing increased geopolitical tensions and common challenges. This is why the European Union's commitment to the European Union-Africa Union partnership is more crucial than ever. The European Union is your first partner on peace and security. We also have a shared commitment to effective multilateralism with the United Nations at its core. Our common voice represents nearly 2 billion citizens, 1/4 of the world population. This is both an opportunity and a reminder of the need for us to cooperate closely. This year marks the 25th anniversary of our partnership. We are delivering on the implementation of the Joint Vision 2030 for the mutual benefit of the people of the European Union and Africa. Today, we discuss how to strengthen our partnership based on respect and shared values. On prosperity, the European Union's and Africa's prosperity go hand in hand. We want to build a win-win investment partnerships that unlock Africa's potential in renewable energy, once again, clean technology and critical raw materials needed for the green and digital transitions. The European Union's Global Gateway investment package is already delivering as the transformative tool. It is worth €150 billion to be leveraged for Africa in 2027 and bring sustainable investment and quality jobs. 138 global flagship projects are implemented in Africa on climate and energy, digital transport, health and education. Prosperity can only happen with people at the center of our partnership, in particular young people. Africa has the youngest and fastest growing population in the world, contrary to the European Union's demographic situation. We want to create jobs and opportunities for young people in Africa and safe and legal pathways, while we are managing migration together and combating smugglers in line with human rights. This is also why the European Union is investing in education, vocational training and skills for talent and labour mobility. At the same time, we must resolutely combat organised crime, terrorism and disinformation. We want to fight any threats to our society, to our security. I would like to refer also to the importance of regional integration in the European Union-Africa partnership. You know that region that I'm responsible for, North Africa, provides the link to both the European Union and the rest of Africa. The new pact for the Mediterranean that the European Union and partners in North Africa are developing will strengthen the cooperation for the benefit of the European Union and Africa. To conclude, the European Union and Africa partnership can bring stability, sustainability and shared prosperity for our continents. And now I would like to thank African Union and European Union ministers, commissioners for your active participation in today's meeting and for all important and substantive contributions. I want to thank observers on both sides. Special word of personal appreciation goes for Minister Tete Antonio for co-chairing the meeting, wishing all the success for the Angolan presidency. Once again, muito obrigado. Today's exchange showed that European Union and African Union partnership is delivering for our citizens on both peace and for prosperity. I am pleased that since our first summit in Cairo in 2000, relations have grown in depth, mutual ambition and political importance. Progress is thanks to the close and constant dialogue and cooperation between our institutions, countries, youth and civil societies. The Ministerial indeed paves the way for the 7th African Union-European Union Summit, which will take place in Africa 20 years after the partnership since 2000. We have a common roadmap. Today, we welcome the progress achieved in implementing the commitments that European Union and African Union heads of state and government laid down in the joint vision for 2030. We took note of the preliminary monitoring report considered by the African Union-European Union Ministerial Follow-up Committee and encouraged its joint finalization and submission to the next summit. We decided to strengthen the follow-up mechanism by ensuring complementarity at ministerial and technical level. We have agreed to continue monitoring and taking stock of the implementation as we move ahead. As a further milestone following the summit, I look forward to our next ministerial meeting in Africa in 2027. Last but not least, I am pleased to announce that in a spirit of co-creation and close collaboration, that we can now adopt the communiqué of today's meeting, which reflects the main results of our important discussions. I would like to thank those working around the clock, notably the staff of the African Union and European Union member states, the African Union Commission, the European External Action Service, the European Commission, and the last but not least, the General Secretariat of the Council. Thank you so much. I want to thank you all and safe travels. This concludes our today's meeting. Thank you once again and all the best.